You guys ready?
Ready.
Ready as will ever be, Mike.
I'm nailless.
Do it.
Walking Blind is hosted by overly emotional dudes who overthink and overanalyze everything. Nothing the hosts say should be taken as medical advice or opinion. They're not professionals. They're about to make that very clear.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Walking Blind podcast, the podcast where we like to normalize checking in on your homies. This is episode 113, and I'm Mike. That is also Mike. And today we have a really awesome guest. He's Canadian, but he now has moved to Los Angeles. I was very wrong when I first listened to his band. I thought they were like a nihilist punk band, and I was like, sick, okay, like, this is what I'm into. Completely wrong. I was completely wrong. And I'm even more excited to talk to Frank Bach of the band Monk.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, man.
Thanks for having me. Thank
Welcome.
you. Well done.
I'm proud of you for that intro.
Yeah.
You don't have to say our names at a certain time. If you miss it, just skip it, dude. Just go.
No.
People know who we are by now.
Maybe.
Yeah, dude. I'm stoked. I'm stoked we got to make this happen. I know we tried to do
Totally.
it before this little run.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
You guys just went on, but the timing just.
Life gets in the way. Yeah. The focus was the tour,
Yeah.
and that,
I
we
don't
will
blame
do
you.
it. Yeah.
I don't blame you. How was that run?
It was great. Yeah. I wish it could have been longer, honestly. We started up in Fresno, so that, possibly the longest drive of the whole stretch, Kicked it off there, and then we had an LA date, and then we went out to, we did play in TJ, which was probably the highlight of the tour, I would say.
Okay.
The whole experience, like the like parking the van, walking across, all that good stuff, and the crowd was incredible. I think just totally different vibe.
And were you guys pulling van and trailer?
No, it was just a van, yeah. And we were with this other band, Dose, out of Iowa, and they were generous enough to lend us their gear,
Cool.
so we didn't have to lug too much stuff. And what else? We did Pomona, and then we did Fullerton at Program, which was also really
Cool.
sick, because that's been, that's like childhood dream,
Yeah.
Program. That's where it happens. Really great place.
You wouldn't think that the shows at Program would be as good as they are, right?
They're awesome.
Dope.
Fucking floor skate shop.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
get in there and they rip. Was it like Newfound Glory played there? Somebody huge
Yeah.
played at Program. That was
Poison the Well played the other day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Poison the Well
Yeah.
played. So, yeah, Program's definitely one of those, like,
Yeah,
such an underrated spot, but so rad.
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I have a question about your TJ show.
Yeah.
What time did it start? What time did you guys go
Oh
on?
God, everything ran on punk chime over
Yeah.
there. Probably ran till at least like 12:30, 1 o'clock maybe. It did seem like pretty well organized, but the that was the one night. It was a Saturday night. I kind of pitched it to the guys as, we'll do this run. It'll be pretty chill. We can pretty much be sleeping in our own beds every night. Except for TJ, we gotta stay.
Yeah.
I want to have I want to enjoy it. I want
The
to
full
hang
experience.
out, and
Yep.
yeah, it's just a wonderful city, and always enjoy my time there.
Okay. I asked because when we got there, I think the flyer said like the doors were at like 10. So we were like, dude, there's no way. And they're like,
Yeah,
trust us. Like, everyone comes late,
Nice.
which they did. I
Right.
feel like everyone
Yeah,
showed
yeah.
up super late, and it was a good time.
How is that scene out there? Like,
I think is a little bit like the combo we had before we started recording, where it just feels a lot more mixed. The punks come out, metalheads come out. There's like what seemed almost like a Iron Maiden tribute band in like the bar beneath, and I think some of those people spilled over. It was just like everybody was happy to be out, and just a very lively place. Obviously, it's a Saturday night. People seemed like they were having a good time, and it was. Yeah, I can't complain. It was a highlight. We'll definitely be back there.
did you guys get awesome food after
Yeah,
that?
yeah, great food. Yeah, we had Renee, who's the booker, one of the bookers out there. He was sort of did the tour guide thing for us. He was
Cool.
like, you want to see touristy stuff, or you want to see some sketchy stuff?
Yeah,
We're
sketchy.
like, we want the sketchy stuff, please.
Yeah, the TJ nights that I remember.
Yeah.
We probably can't tell the stories on the podcast. You know?
I was like, oh yeah, I'm like,
Yeah. Like I
Michael?
probably we won't talk
Michael?
about them,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
all I know is that 4 a.m. those tacos hit
They hit
Those
for
hit.
sure.
so well. So
Well, you mentioned I was telling you guys that I'm Canadian. I've been in LA for almost 10 years. But when I first moved out here, I moved for a job, and I had a work visa. I had to renew every couple of years, and it always meant I had to leave the country and come back in.
right.
And I did the flight to Vancouver once, and I was like, this is terrible. Like, what a shitty way to spend the day. You know?
Right.
Fly to the airport, literally turn around,
Just fly
get
out
a
and come
stamp,
back.
and come back. Yeah.
oh
Yeah,
damn,
really rough. Like, if you can't line it up with like a visit with your family or whatever,
Right,
then you're
right.
stuck doing something like that. And I had the bright idea. I go, Mexico's right there. I'm just gonna go. I could walk across, walk back, and then some of my coworkers were like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I had buddies I worked with who lived in San Diego, and I was like, you know what? Where's your sense of adventure?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. And so I've done that, like 4 or 5 times now. So I feel like a local. I was there, and I was
That's kind of a smart move. Like
yeah, nice way to spend the day. Grab some food, grab a beer, then the long wait to get back across. But easy.
Good for you, man. I hate when
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, it's so dangerous." Like,
Relax,
so is parts of LA, parts of
Yeah.
San Bernardino. So is parts of everywhere.
my buddy Georgie, who's like lives in San Diego, spends a lot of time
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
Because he has family in Mexico.
Yeah.
Would say like, yeah, I mean, the way that we look at Mexico and how dangerous it is the same way that a lot of them look at LA.
Yeah, 100%.
The crime rates, huge, huge, whatever. So
Yeah, it's how Canadians look at the U.S.
yeah.
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 So, but I do remember, I guess the one story I can tell about TJ. So Austin, who used to play in Creative Void, we went across the border, hung out, partied, came back, and he didn't bring a passport or an ID.
Oof, that's rough.
So we're like, really? And he's like, don't worry about it. So we walked, because we parked in San Diego, walked across. So we walked, and he got stopped. So we're like, oh
Yeah.
man, it's going to be, well, this is our homie. We're committed. We're just going to wait, right?
Yeah.
10 minutes later, he comes walking out, laughing,
Yeah.
smoking a cigarette. And we're like, what happened? He's like, I had my Six Flag ID and my RCC ID. And I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, man, season pass holder. And he shuts up. All right, dude, whatever.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
Every time.
That's good.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool.
So, well, shit. So I kind of want to dive into this this idea that Mike had about you guys being like just a straight punk band,
Yeah.
and then kind of talk about the roots of Monk
Sure.
and how this all came together. But first, I want to talk about your history in music. Like, were there projects and bands before this? Like when you
Yeah.
were in Canada, or like
Yeah.
did you grow up on more punk stuff? Like how?
Yeah. Yes to both those questions. I played in this band called Vicious Cycle. Yeah, the most creative punk band name ever. We were a band for maybe 3 or 4 years, and put out some records. This is going back, I don't know, at least a decade. And yeah, it was had a great time. We got to do a couple runs through the east coast of the U.S. We did Europe once. It always felt like it kind of ended short though.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I felt like music had to just stop, but I thought I'm just going to focus on like job and career things for a while. And the next thing you know, you're like in your mid 30s, and you're like, I don't know if it was the pandemic hitting or something, and it was like, why am I doing any of this?
Yeah.
Like, I like my job, I love my work, but what about the other stuff? The stuff you missed from when you were younger. So just like writing and performing music, skateboarding, all that good stuff. So yeah, that's what I was doing back then. But that project always felt like a chapter that was, I don't know, not that this is a continuation, but it felt like there was an itch I can't scratch enough.
And was that band kind of the same vibe?
I would say
right
it's
now?
pretty close. It was maybe like our last record was themed around the Carl Sagan book Pale Blue Dot. So it was very like I don't know, like astral, like extraterrestrial, like kind of like
Right,
space hardcore. Like it probably wwent over a lot of people's heads.
Like a
but
thinking man's
yeah, I mean, I don't know why I'm in this groove, but it's what I really have fun writing and playing. But yeah, that was like the end point of that band, and but 10 plus years later,
Yeah.
picked up some instruments again and got rocking.
So because I feel like we both kind of went through this too. But
Yeah.
like what was that kind of like one spark that made you like pick up that either a guitar or like
Yeah.
start writing again or like because I think for me I took like 10 years
Yeah.
off,
Yeah.
and then it wasn't until shout out Jake for this one, just cutting my hair, being like,
Yeah.
just come to a practice and come
Yeah,
listen to
yeah.
what we're writing.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, and then that that's where it went.
Right. Somebody
but what was-
motivated you.
Yeah, what was that moment that you remember?
Well, I mean, I think for all that time where I wasn't doing music, I think I just didn't really have anything to write about. I wasn't really like, there was no like anger really about much. Work stuff was going pretty good. I was pretty happy with where I was at. I moved to a new country, got married, all these things. Like life sort of was going in a really positive way. And maybe I lost that like the teen angst of it all. And I mean, I feel like I keep bringing up work into it all the time, but I worked at this meditation app called Headspace.
Okay.
So I was the lead designer of the app. And one of the founders, who I guess was like my boss's boss's boss, was actually a Tibetan monk. And I got to spend a lot of time with him in the office, and we would do, every day, 10 a.m., we'd have a full team meditation, like, 200 people in the office, like silence, pretty incredible experience. And just having access to somebody like that, who's got that, like that wisdom and that experience, and just felt like they could almost answer any of your, any of your life's questions.
Yeah.
And it's Andy Puddicombe, amazing guy, one of the best people that's ever come into my life. And when the idea of writing music came up, I was like, not that this has like never been done before. I think there's been shades of like, your shelters and things like that.
Right.
But I think what we're doing is something a little bit different. But yeah, I think that was also the spark. It was like what am I going to write about? And then bing, oh, that's the thing. Like that had, now I can't stop thinking about it. And, the lyrics were just pouring out of me. Like I was picking up my books and scriptures and reading stuff and just like find some text and I go, that's a chorus, or that's, like that'd be a cool way to like kick something off, or that's a song title.
Right.
And yeah, so now I feel like I have a good, like the band's got a good like sort of writing process. And when I think about old projects, I don't think they ever had a writing process, or like you might have had one person kind of like sort of driving the thing, but a lot of probably being met with a lot of friction from other people. Anyone who's been in a band, I think, probably knows that feeling. But yeah, I think now we're all like, now that the guys have seen what we've been able to pull off, they're pretty okay with me sort of driving it, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah.
So and I think it was the boys in Jackknife that really like I'd heard you guys' name and
Love
see
those
you
guys.
guys'
Yeah.
name on flyers
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but I don't think I had ever really
Yeah.
like listened to the stuff until the dudes brought you guys up. And then when I first kind of saw the whole thing, I was like, this is cool, like it's interesting.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
It feels different, right? But so coming from like, this scene, like everybody's pissed off and aggressive and, like there's a lot of like, kind of, you said there's the angst and everything like that. So the guys that are in the band with you, were they kind of skeptical at first, or were they like, all right, let's just do this shit? Or like, what was that?
I think they had to like see the concept proven out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing happened really backwards. I mean, it was really just kind of like me working with some other guys who don't even play in the band, who were just helping write stuff. Like I said, it was like a bit of a pandemic project where everyone was like, sending stuff over WhatsApp and like, here's a riff, here's a drum, here's, people were doing session work and stuff. And so I worked with with a couple guys on that, and I was like, shit, I think I have an EP here. And then I started kind of demoing it, almost like I was trying to build a band. You know, it was like, here, look, I've got this package. Like, I've been trying to convince you guys
That's the way
to write with me, but nobody wants to. But now, you know, here's the thing.
If you build it, they will come.
It was totally that.
If you write it, they will
Yeah.
come.
Then the record deal came before the band was even put together. We had vinyl going into pressing, and we hadn't even played a show yet. And
Dude,
it was like really backwards and weird, but it worked.
Yeah, and I think your most recent release was Rock.
Yeah, the Rock EP, yeah.
And it's like what 24 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, it's like
and 12 of it is
meditation,
a guided
Yeah,
meditation.
it is. I mean, I'm a designer for a living, and I thought, you know, I have an EP. Writing a full length is like a lot of effort. I'm not sure I have it in me, and I also don't know that the music industry is going in that way. You know, it seemed like maybe we'll get there. I don't know, but I thought I want big artwork, but I don't have the songs. And I was like, wait a second. Oh, there's another idea. You know, the ideas just kept kind of piling on. And then I was, you know, late night Googling, like, you know, how long do you need for 33 RPM? How long do you need for 45 RPM? So I'm like doing the math. I'm like, okay, that fits, you know, I can make that work. And last minute did the B-side of it. And that's landed pretty well with people. I think, like, not that there's no like anger or nihilism. There is for sure in the record, you know, but I think what I get out of it and what makes it really fun for me is that it's kind of both. And it's kind of like the A side is a problem and the B side is a solution.
Right.
Cool.
And it's been so cool to hear when people discover the B side. Like I'll hear from somebody, they're like, yeah, I put your record on. Like, I think one of the guys in Jackknife, like, saying they put the record on one morning when they were getting ready, and they like you know, jump in the shower, listen to music, and then as soon as opened the door, getting out of the shower, the meditation kicked on. He was like, I had the most peaceful morning. Just picturing him in the shower.
Dude, that was me. I tend to just like throw headphones on, and then I'll just listen to music and stuff while I'm doing other things. And at some point, I had zoned out, and I'm like, am I listening to a meditation? And I had to go back, and then I played it back, and I was like,
come from?
Oh, okay.
That was like an advertisement or something.
Yeah,
Right.
This is a really long Spotify thing, but
yeah, I wonder if it's worked out well for the algorithm that there's one long track.
I feel like, you know, you guys are talking about mindfulness, and you said there's a nice balance of like, we're pissed, but we're aware of it, you know, and then we're aware of how to work through that. But it's also like, it feels like, oh, I have an answer to the things that I'm complaining about. Sure.
Or like I'm seeking answers.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, I mean, I can speak for myself. Like on the most recent Torch Culture EP, I'm just mad. You know, like there's no resolution to anything.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to think I don't love that stuff. That's the best. Also, I love Terror and Madball as much as the next person. You know, that shit's the best.
Dude, so I will say this, like I talked about it before the podcast, and how I was like, oh, cool, there's like a nihilist punk band.
Yeah.
And then I started listening, and I was just like, oh shit. I was like, I was way off on what what you guys write about. And I was listening, and I appreciate that you guys put your lyrics on the I was watching on YouTube, so I was watching your music videos. So I was reading the lyrics, dude, and to the point where you can ask her. I messaged my fiance and I apologized to her because all today I had just been so focused on everything coming up and stressing about finances, stressing about all this stuff. Yeah. And I apologized to her. I was like, hey, I wasn't present today. I'm really sorry. Yeah. And I was reading the lyrics and like talking about like, you know, being present, being mindful, you know, take a second, you know, you talk about breathing and I think you mentioned grounding. And I'm like, dude, these are all things that I need to like get back to.
We all need it. Yeah. I mean, they're honestly like, they're like a reminder to myself that, you know, but you made my day. That's amazing. Dude, that's amazing.
You may have saved me from a fight. So thank you.
That's so good.
Yeah, I literally sent her an apology. So I'm curious to see what she wrote.
That's so cool.
But
She's gonna
Love
make
it.
fun of you.
dude, like, yeah, I was somewhere else today. I was literally in my problems
Yeah.
and just, like not taking advantage of the fact that, she's normally not here during the week and she was here
Yeah.
today and we got to actually have time together and actually do
Yeah.
some fun things. But I was just
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was,
It's
yeah.
hard, man. The pace of life and work and stress and all this stuff, and you got the move coming up. Like, there's a lot. There's a lot we take on our shoulders,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when it comes to, kind of looking into this, like searching for answers and
Yeah.
things like that. What do you do, like on your end of things when you're writing to get yourself into that headspace?
Yeah. Typically starts with, like, I have a little bookshelf with a bunch of stuff that I've gathered over the years, like scripts and books and some music, and I'll kind of pull that out and start like poking through it. No real like goal in mind, just sort of like, will something inspire something, and like it might start with a piece of art, it might start with a quote or something. But it is hard to make the time to do that, for sure. Especially you got work, you got family, you have kids, things like that. If anyone watching who's got kids, that it's hard to get 10 minutes to go to the bathroom sometimes. So
How old is yours?
just 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a pretty intense moment for sure. But there is preschool, so there is some time during the day where we get a little bit of a breather. But typically you have to be, I think, got to be a bit intentional about it. Like, even if it's like carving out time on the weekend or something like that, or if I know that I'll have some solo time on a flight or something. Like, I'll try to give myself the the tools and the stuff to be able to hopefully come up with something. But also try not to put too much pressure. Like, it's just music and it's art, and if it's not happening today, like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Like it or it's gonna happen. It's gonna be like not 100%.
Yeah.
I
think that's one of the, like, now that you bring that up, that's kind of one of the biggest pieces of advice that I had to learn myself. And then also, I feel like a lot of, like, probably people that are starting to write music or coming up or will realize is that, like, sometimes you just, it's not like anything
just
else.
not the
You
day.
just might not have an off day.
Yeah.
Like, same thing with, like, playing sports, same thing with anything that you do. Like, it just might not, today might not be a great day.
Yeah.
Like, I would beat myself up over like guitar riffs, or, like,
For sure.
even just as of like the past couple of weeks, like, there's a part I can't figure out, and and it's like, what, let me just walk away, like, and understanding that walking away doesn't mean you're giving up.
No, it's part of the process.
Yeah.
Just wrap your mind around, like, there's it's not always a linear thing. Like, sometimes you just got to get back to it. Or, I mean, how many times have you been writing something and you pull out this riff that you wrote, like, it just it fits 10 years later, it finally works, I
have one of those, like, 20 years old that's finally coming out on this record. So.
I always hear the joke is like your whatever your sound check riff, that one. It's like it doesn't fit in any song, but you like playing it. My Scott, who's the guitarist in Monk, he's been writing some stuff recently, and like, my strength is kind of like seeing a project through, and his strength, we always joke that we complement each other pretty well, because he's very good at writing, but he sort of he stops when he's halfway there, and he's got a pack of recordings on his phone, but nothing to do with him. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just yesterday. He was like, "Dude, I got riffs today." I'm like, "Record them, go, please! Like, we need it." It's like, don't let that go to waste. If today's the day, like, call in sick today. You're writing riffs.
Just shred all day. That's it.
I think there's something nice too about when you're able to carve time and like, okay, this is, because then it's almost like you have like this guilt-free time to like focus and be creative.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I think that's really cool. And when you're intentional, I feel like there's less guilt.
Right.
Yeah.
There was, I don't know if I'd recommend it to people, but I did do a what do you call them? One of those, like, was it like a darkness tank or like a
float tank.
like a float tank? Yeah. It was. I've done a couple of them. Some of them are like really nice and spa like, and they have like beautiful lights and music. I'd probably recommend that one. I did one really weird one in Venice that was like pitch black, like felt like you were in a coffin almost. That was really odd, and I don't think I had the fortitude for it at the time. I came out like an hour later, like a different person. But those kind of things are helpful, I think, in even if you treated it like a like a dentist appointment or something. I know it's a luxury to be able to like take that time for yourself or like carve that out if possible, but I've found that pretty helpful. And like, hey, there's an hour, I guess I kind of have a goal, but like also take the pressure off. There's no goals. Like if I come out with nothing, that's totally cool too. But there is something about like when you're just sitting there, like 4 or 5 people with instruments in hands, like, okay, write something. You're like I got nothing.
Mike was a big proponent of the deprivation tanks.
Yes, the deprivation tank. That's what it was. Yeah.
I've
was
done
yours full like blackout or?
Yeah, mine was completely pitch black, but it was like it was like a room like this. It felt like it was a big space. It wasn't the coffin one.
Yeah.
I felt like because I've done
you
it.
Spin around in it, like
the one I was in. Yeah, it was big enough to kind of move around
in this.
Yeah,
you got
How do you know there's no one else in there with you?
I mean, because I felt around. No. But like I remember thinking like I'm getting close because I've done it like I think like 4 times maybe.
Yeah.
And I remember each time I'm always thinking like I think I can do the coffin.
Yeah.
But like I don't know.
also why?
Yeah.
After I went through that once, and I don't think I'm not dying to do that again. No thanks.
Yeah, I think I'm good with the big room and just knowing that I can have plenty of space.
I want to try it, but I'm scared.
Oh, dude, I've done it.
Yeah, but,
I don't even touch. Dude, I like
more calm.
I have trouble in
than I do.
I know, but it was.
There is a moment of acceptance where you're just like, okay, I'm gonna be in here for a while. Like, there's not much I can do about it. I'm not dying.
I think for me, mine. I remember the very first time I did it. I went in. There was like nice, like soothing lights, and like there's also sound, and like right next to my head, and I was in the water. I could like push the lights, and I could push the sound.
Oh, cool.
And I remember thinking, okay, I'm gonna freak myself out. I'm gonna see how long I can do darkness and no sound.
Oh, so you can control the environment around.
Yeah.
I thought it was just walk in.
No.
Like,
I'm sure there's some that are like that, but this one I had total control. So I was like right here, and I was like, I'm gonna just freak myself out and then turn this on,
Yeah.
And so like I remember like doing it, like turning it off and having that complete just silence, and I just like fell in love with it. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I can like just
I can
just be.
I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
Try it.
So
Alternatively, you can sit on the floor in your shower.
That might be the first step for me.
That can be a good shower thoughts.
Yeah.
Those are a real thing.
Maybe a little bath bomb in there.
It's a little me time.
The problem is that like I'm too large for my tub. So like I'm a fan of baths, but I have to choose whether my upper half or my lower half is in the water. There's not a nice balance there.
When I'm in there, it's basically just my face and my tummy that are getting cold.
I put too much water in it.
Yeah. You move wrong and you're just splashing. Yeah, it's all bad.
So I imagine, and what you sounds like from what you do, like you're around people that seem to have a pretty good, or at least are mindful about working on emotions and control and and so how and do people know that you're in a hardcore band?
In my like life and day job and things like that.
Yeah, your job, most of your job.
In my job, I mean, I don't work at the meditation app anymore. But in my day job, it has it comes up in conversations like hey, how was your weekend? And you're like, or somebody sees something you posted on Instagram, and you're like, I'm not gonna like hide my life.
Yeah.
But I think I used to think it had to be 2 different worlds, and you know, even though it's a bit uncomfortable to like, you know, here's this like picture of me like screaming and, yeah, you know, also then it's not a big surprise when I show up to the board meeting and like I have hand tattoos
Right,
and stuff,
yeah.
you know, like it's just, this is me, 36 years old. It's obviously not, it's not changing, you know,
Right.
it's pretty
Right.
cemented. And it's incredible that when you put yourself out that way, I mean, it's for me, like how people start showing up and like just randomly, you know, some guy you would have never expected is like, hey, I heard you were in a band, you know, let's talk about hardcore sometime. And you're like, you really? Okay, sure, that sounds awesome. And I work with this one dude who's he's a British guy, and I would have never expected it, but he was like, yeah, I listened to your band, and I'm like, you know, I'm like cringing, like, oh, what's he gonna say?
no.
He's like, yeah, it reminds me a lot of Idols. And I was like, you
Whoa.
know what? Well, like
Sick.
no, but I'll take
Yeah.
it. And, but like, also if that's your like your connection
Yeah.
to music of that kind, like I think that's cool. That's
Yeah.
great. Let's talk. And yeah, so I think I've sort of burst the bubble a little bit of my own comfort in doing that, but it is challenging for sure.
I do like that that, you know, when you work in like maybe a corporate setting
Yeah.
or even like, you know, whatever, and people start to figure out that you play in a band.
Yeah.
And they make those comments like, "Oh, you should play for the,
Oh god.
you
Yeah.
should
Yeah,
play
yeah.
here at the Christmas
Yeah,
party."
yeah,
And
yeah,
you're like,
yeah, I know.
"Nah, that's not gonna happen."
You're like, let me know when you're playing next. I'll be sure not to. Yeah.
Dude, that happened to me like I want to say like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
No, more than that. Like
Yeah.
15 years ago, we played. I think you were there. Creative Void played at the Vibe in Riverside, and it's this tiny little shitty dive
Yeah,
bar. And I just started working at Loma Linda, and word had gotten out that I played in a band,
Yeah, yeah.
and that I was playing locally. And this like little old lady, I'm not gonna say her name,
Yeah.
but she was a little old lady. She was like, "I would love to see you guys play." And I
Yeah.
was like, I mean, if you would like to, you know, I was like, but it's
Right.
pretty aggressive. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
She's
Give her the
like-
heads up. Yeah.
She's like, it's okay. And so, her and like a few other like ladies that I work with,
That's
all older
amazing.
ladies, you know. But she showed up like fishnet shirt.
Oh, for real?
Like, yeah, like dude, like
That's the
like
best.
basically just pasties on.
Yeah.
Like,
What?
full like rock and roll.
She was ready.
In her like 60s, and I was
yeah.
like, this is kind of rad. I mean, I don't know how exactly to feel about it, but I'm really kind of excited you're here too. And it was cool. Like they came and they were like, they were drinking and they were
Yeah,
hanging
yeah.
out, and I was like, wow, okay, you totally
yeah.
blew my mind right now. But
That's amazing. I love
yeah,
that.
it was like I was like, what?
Like she had an idea what she was getting
Yeah,
into.
so she
you know?
she kind of knew, and then like and then through that I found out that like one of the other ladies that came with her was actually like a classically trained like
Yeah.
singer.
Oh,
But
cool.
she grew up in the like Hollywood rock and roll scene.
Yeah.
So
yeah, okay, yeah.
she would just like
there.
all the Stevie Nicks songs
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that stuff. She would just
Viper
belt
Room
them
and
out.
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool.
That's cool. I
So-
think I've had a moment too where maybe it's just becoming a parent and getting older and you're like, wait a second, like I'm a grown ass adult.
Yeah.
I'm not like a kid who needs
Oh
to
no.
Also, like if it's weird that this like coworker wants to come see my band, it's like okay, that's like whatever you
Yeah.
want. But yeah, it's such an awkward like thing to cross over to. Yeah.
And to explain, like, because you don't know where the level of like their understanding of like
Yeah,
music
yeah, yeah.
is. So you're in a rock band? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
We rock. We do rock.
The thing that I'm running into now is so now we have younger people coming through,
Yeah.
and, you know, and they'll like notice one day I'll come in and I'll be wearing a short sleeve shirt, and so
Yeah.
they'll see like sleeves and stuff, and they're like, oh, do you play music, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they start naming bands that like we're friends with,
yeah.
That we know.
Oh, that's so cool.
They're like, oh, have you heard of this? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's my homie, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. And so it's kind of cool to see, like, I guess it makes me feel old, but it's cool to
Yeah.
see that start to
Yeah.
happen where they're like,
That's pretty
have you
cool.
heard of, you know, this so-and-so and so-and-so person?
Yeah.
I even had one dude come in that started working with me that was like, oh man, yeah, I played in a band too. You might know our drummer. And I was like, oh, who's your drummer? It's like, he actually, he does a lot of photography. His name's Noe. And I was like, it's my fucking boy, dude. Like, that's my homie, So
That's rad.
it's been interesting. It's especially lately seeing that kind of change and things.
There has been I think a resurgence. You guys probably covered this a bunch of like, maybe it was like the TikTok effect or something, or the turnstile effect or whatever you want to call it. There, right? I'm not crazy that happened. That's the thing.
I feel like it just started like rock and roll just in general is coming back. And I think I've said this before, like, love it or hate it, like, you had artists like Machine Gun Kelly who
I knew you were going there.
Ride that pop punk wave, and you're like,
and he did.
I don't like this, but at the same time, you're bringing so many new
kind of need it.
ears, so I can't be mad at this. And then I've even had arguments with people that are like, but he's doing it really well. I was like, he has fucking Travis Barker helping him write shit. Like,
all the resources and all the time in the world. You better do it well.
I think something, I don't even know if we've really talked about this, but it's like, a big thing, like, we've talked a lot on this podcast about how like the resurgence of like, we're from the Inland Empire, so very noticeable to us to see everything going on. But it's like, a lot of we've always had bands out here, we just had nowhere to play.
Yeah.
And I think something that we at least, I don't know if we've talked about it much, is that the pandemic was I think what helped it was that, places that normally wouldn't want bands to play,
right?
They're like, sure, if you're gonna bring people,
I mean,
bring your
real estate was commercial real estate was in a bad spot.
And I feel like that kind of had people that normally would not. They're like, okay, if you're gonna bring 50 kids, sure,
that's cool.
Yeah.
What's that place in? We played in Pomona at the Haven.
Yeah.
And I heard that was obviously not news to anyone who regularly tuning in here, but that's like just sort of like run by students and like family owned and like super DIY, like strictly music space, I guess. Like that was cool.
So that used to be it was Aladdin's.
Okay.
Which was like it was a venue, but also had was it called like PBW, like Pizza, Beer, and Wings.
Yeah.
In the spot that's closed to the right of it.
Oh, okay,
like those
that's
were
what that
one
was.
spot.
Yeah.
And then before that, it was something else, but it's always been like a pizza spot and venue, and that were kind of hand in hand. And I like it was such a cool spot because like you'd go to shows at Glass House or whatever, and you'd walk out and then there would be like just the sickest hardcore bands playing at this tiny spot right down the block, and you're like, what is this show? Why am I not here?
Gotta get
So it's kind of cool to see the Haven kind of coming back up and like a resurgence over there too, because that's like I feel like we've probably all played shows there throughout the years under different names and when it was named different things, when the stage was on the opposite side of the building.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like against the glass back in the day.
Got it.
I don't know. It was like a student run though.
That's
sick.
Yeah. I heard it was like, I guess a student's like parents bought the space or something and kind of like gave it to them as I don't know, some kind of like gift, a project.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, damn, shout out to the parents.
Whoa.
Dang. Making it happen.
I wonder what they're gonna do with like the restaurant side of things.
Yeah.
Did I recently see that they did like a lounge type deal. Like now they have a green room.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, in the back. Yeah, there's a little space there. Yeah.
Because I saw that they were also saying like you can rent this space for like, events or like galleries, whatever. So that's kind of cool to expand on nights there's no shows, you can rent it for other things.
I was blown away. People showed up. It was Super Bowl Sunday, and we had a gig in Pomona.
Yeah.
Like, braced myself for the worst. Yeah.
And people didn't really want to watch the Super Bowl this year,
true.
also. So it's like, if there's a cool show happening, let's just go to that.
Holidays on tour suck.
Yeah. It's I think the weekend warrior thing is becoming a lot more popular, and those midweek kind of dates in the middle of nowhere, those can be tough.
And I was also I forget whose video I was watching. I was on YouTube, and it's one of the guys who like streams on Twitch and then also texts for some bigger bands. I forget his name, but he was talking about and breaking down like the cost of, and obviously this is not something that we're doing on a regular basis, but like a bus tour, like a 30, 60, and 90-day bus tour.
Yeah.
And just breaking down in like 2023 and 2024 the cost of that. And I was looking at these numbers and I was like, this is almost not sustainable.
Yeah.
Even if you're the biggest band,
Yeah.
you're losing so much money just on transportation.
You have to be knocked loose. Like that's
that's and then even then it's like
even could you rough it in a
modelers in a van, dude. Like that's this is the way to go.
Yeah.
It's almost more affordable to just get hotel rooms.
Yeah.
And just tough it out on the stretches as long as your routing is done right.
Yeah.
But it's tough too, like, because I mean, like, for him, like back in the day, no bragging rights, they would do these like long stretches where you guys would be gone for 6 months.
6 months,
and
that's
It was, I don't know how. Like thinking about it now, like I don't know how we did it.
But like if you think about it now, like, so like let's say like 10, 15, 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like we're playing for $100 a night, right? And you need that $100 to not only get you gas in your van, but to like kind of feed you guys to get you to the next spot.
Yeah.
And it's like that $100 won't do shit now.
No. It's honestly, I set everyone up. I set the expectations early that like, let's just treat this like a golfing trip. Like it will probably cost us money. Like we're doing this because we're enjoying the time together. If it stops being fun, then like we should probably not do it anymore.
Yeah.
But also nobody has to do this. We don't have to do this. But and if we come home with a little bit of money, that's awesome.
Sick,
then pass everyone a few bucks and buy yourself dinner tonight or something.
It's all about the merch, man.
Merch,
it's all about having
merch is big.
Having like cool shit on the table just so that you can kind of push it and move forward, because and they don't even give you, remember they used to give you like those little $5 pizzas for the shows. Now they're
That's catering.
Right.
Catering.
Which I used to love pretending to hate that. I'd be like, oh man, pizza again.
Loving it.
And I was like, oh, yes.
My favorite meal.
Yes.
Monk hasn't done we've only done some dates in Canada and in SoCal, and I guess one in Mexico, so I guess we're quite international
You're
now.
international man. That counts.
The full North American experience. But in past bands, going to Europe was always cool because they would definitely take care of you there. We'd always joke that it was like, food was always some kind of mystery stew, the punk stew. You're like, I don't know. It's definitely always vegan, and I guess it'll keep me alive for the day. But it was always interesting to see what you get to some places. Like I have this one memory, like in the it's like northern Spain. They'll kill me for saying Spain, Basque country. But I remember just eating like the most amazing food. It's like, okay, that was worth that was worth everything. This is like, I would never get treated like with this incredible local food anywhere else. Like once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah. Europeans like have, and we've been like blessed to do some pretty sweet tours out there. And we've also done our own small ones.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's almost like they treat you the same no matter what. Yeah. Like spreads. Like for local bands. It's like, what? What is this?
It's always cool to see your name on the posters too, and it's like for no bragging rights from America.
Yeah.
For the USA band.
Dude, I get the bummer wasn't like, apparently, like I forget what, we had a poster where it had us on it.
Yeah.
And then I got a couple of times on the tour, people were like, you're little. Your poster makes you look like you're big, but you're little. I'm like,
thanks, man.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I was trying to line
The
them up.
honesty is so real.
There is a European honesty, that's for sure. That is a thing. They'll I think especially in places like Germany, they'll just like say the awkward thing to you, and you're like, oh, okay.
I don't know what to do with that.
I appreciate your feedback on that.
It sounded not so good up there tonight. Okay. Okay. I'm used to good set, good set.
Yeah. It's like everybody all around. Good
Yeah,
shit,
yeah,
good
yeah,
shit. You go over
yeah.
there. Yeah, not so good.
No.
tonight.
Yeah. You're like, all right.
Where are you guys from? Ontario?
Yeah, I grew up in Ontario.
Where
Yeah.
where exactly?
North of Toronto in a city called Sudbury, Ontario. Yeah. And Scott, our guitarist, is also from there, but lives in LA now.
Nice.
Yeah. Bunch of Canadians just showed up. You want to do accents? I can do accents.
Hey, we love the accents here.
I love Canada.
But yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, it feels like a past life, but I think I've shaved off the bits of the oots and the boots and the I mean, if you give me a couple beers, they start just coming out. Yeah, it's always a funny topic.
What's your take on hockey?
On hockey, I mean, it's like religion for us. You love the team you love, and even when they're not doing great, you stick by them. I'm a Maple Leafs guy, so I get to see them at least a couple times a year here when they play either the Kings or the Ducks.
Mm-hmm.
Say those 10 years haven't converted you to a Kings fan yet?
No, I have a Kings jersey. I do have a Kings jersey. I figured I need something to wear to the other games I go to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's so interesting to kind of live in both worlds. Where here hockey's like maybe like the fifth or sixth sport of importance, and the more I think of it, the more like sort of random it feels too. It's like ice blades, like this is crazy. Fighting.
Yeah,
like,
it's such a wild sport when you really take a step back.
But I do appreciate the LA fans are always pretty awesome, but I think Orange County probably does it right. I think there's a lot of there's that like the whole violent gentleman kind of world, and I think that's really cool. It's like it's all totally unique take on sort of like what I grew up on. Mm-hmm. I think back home it's really like original six, like old time hockey kind of vibe, and here it's much more the fans are just, I honestly think the fans might be better in a lot of ways here.
Interesting.
And the team's got to work a lot harder to get audiences out too. I mean, there's a lot to compete with. You got your like multiple Lakers, Clippers, like there's a lot, not to mention college sports. Like it's
California is just stacked with
absolutely
so many franchises. And then like with the whole violent, one thing I like about the hockey and the violent gentleman thing, which shout out Vince. The overall embracing of like punk rock and hardcore rock.
Totally. You can see it in all the graphics.
Yeah, it's so sick. And then like even at the games, like they're introducing players and they'll come out to like Ghost Inside songs and like
totally
things like that, and it's kind of sick. It's kind of a cool. It made like I wasn't really a hockey guy, but it made me start getting into hockey with this guy.
Best player in the league, Austin Matthews, Mexican.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like an oddity as like growing up in the 90s, being this Hispanic kid that was into hockey.
Yeah.
But it's only because one of my best friends in school happened to play hockey.
Yeah.
And I like fell completely in love with it. And
that's cool.
And so I have like this funny thing where I'm a big Angels fan from Anaheim. So like the Ducks, right? So everyone's like, "Oh, so why aren't you a Ducks fan?"
Yeah.
It's like because I saw Wayne Gretzky play.
Right. Yeah.
Like I got to go as a kid and see that.
Special.
So.
Yeah, I mean, Gretzky was. They send him here with a mission. They expand the sport, and
It worked.
I mean, also it worked pretty well. And the Ducks, I mean, obviously the Ducks, the movies, those were like, those are classics for us when we were kids. Can't beat that stuff. Those are like ingrained childhood memories. But it's cool to see. Who knew? Bringing ice sports in this warm climate.
In Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas.
So when I was younger and I was living in Atlanta in Georgia, my dad used to always get Thrashers tickets.
Oh, cool.
Back when I think it was Kovalchuk was still on the Thrashers.
Okay.
So we used to go to those games a lot. And I just didn't understand. I had fun every time I was there, but I didn't really understand the sport. You didn't know what was happening.
It's a tricky sport, you know.
Yeah, and and then I remember like going to a Kings game with Mike, and then him finally trying to break down. Like,
yeah.
I was like, wait, they do what? Because why?
I feel like so this is.
I know you were talking about offside. Were you not? Yeah.
Yeah, I think once you understand what an offside is, it changes how you see the
flow.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, why is he turning around? Why is
Yeah.
Like, I don't. Like, what's happening?
Why do you just slam the brakes?
keep going?
Yeah. Like what is it?
Well, I feel like if I can explain to someone who doesn't like, it's just like, oh, it's just crazy, it's chaos.
Yeah.
If I can explain to them what offsides is, I feel like then they have a chance.
Yeah.
But,
and then I think overtime is an interesting concept compared to other sports. Like, because it's sudden death.
It's so wild. Like, like, all right.
The energy is like electric, and like you can't beat that. I know shootout, controversial. Not everybody loves it. I mean, I like closure, so I think it's nice to end the game.
Yeah.
Or just like tie. It's just a tie, 2-2. You know, that's weird.
And you got to work the next day, so it's like
let's get this done.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
I think hockey is such a beautiful game. A lot of people probably know me as being a big baseball fan, which I am.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite sport to watch is hockey.
Can you skate?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how well anymore, but
I want to see this.
There's a time I was going semi consistently, and
Icetown.
No, I'd go to Disney. You know, my buddy Teddy.
Oh, you were figure skating.
That's skating. Like I said, my buddy played. He played from. I met him in first grade, and he was already playing. Was that Pee Wee?
That's right. I forgot. Teddy was super into hockey.
Yeah, I had a buddy that got drafted.
Oh, for
and
real?
So like I followed him.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like, I was a standing girlfriend for a lot of that, man. I was there cheering him on, and
it's like 1%. Like it's not everybody makes it to draft. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also remember doing like these. We do like field trips to go ice skating, right?
Yeah.
And my buddies that
I know
played hockey would have like the
just
sickest
ripping,
skates, and they're like ripping, and then they give you these like stupid rentals that were like they're white
plastic.
And they're like little they don't look cool.
Yeah, no, not cool at all.
Yeah, and you just gotta like skate next to your friends and look all cool.
These guys are skating backwards.
Yeah, you could always tell like who the kids that like played hockey, because like they'd go out there and they'd have the gloves on.
Right, the gloves. Yeah. It's an expensive sport. It's not. I think that's one major reason it, like hasn't taken off in a lot of places. It's like a fortune to play. And you need ice. Like that. You gotta.
Did our guitar player in Torture Culture, Dan? His son plays. Dan plays too, but his son is like super good.
Oh, cool.
He's goalie, and he's like, it's funny because when we started the band, it's like 14-year-old kid. He's this tiny little dude, and now he's like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And you're like, "You're a man now." And like you watch him play hockey, and he shreds, like he rips.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, all right, but Dan's like, it's a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Gear's expensive.
Kids growing. Yeah.
I don't think we've ever talked about this, but and I don't know if it's different for you growing up because you were, I would say, surrounded by hockey players.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
But for me, I had my buddy that grew up with hockey player, and every now and then there was like a group of guys, and I don't think this is throwing him under the bus, but Bo from what band was he in? He's in like a screamo band. Bo, oh my gosh. I want to say he was in a band. It was Take the Crown. Is that a band?
Maybe.
Anyway, I think he ended up going to whatever band. I think he went to Bless the Fall or one of those bands.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So he's like, later on when he was known for being in bands, he had like the pretty hair, like Scenery, right?
Yeah.
I remember him. He played hockey. I remember him at shows.
Yeah.
And like it was like him and like three of his buddies, and they would just like get in fights, and they'd wreck grown ass men, dude.
Yeah.
And so like I've had this thing where I'm like, hockey players built a little different,
right?
Like
They
have this like willingness and this like sense of just like no fear. That is like a really crazy combo when you bring that into like the punk rock scene.
You're used to people just flying at you, you know?
Yeah.
I mean? So
And they're like looking forward to the age where you can fight. Or like body contact is the first step. And then there's like an age where fighting can become like more acceptable.
Yeah.
But that's changed a lot, I think. But still definitely there, you know, you still see it.
dude, I still remember finding out about the strap
Oh,
in the jersey that you could just use to hold on to each other. I was like, what the fuck is
that? That's a pro move. Yeah. Get it over his head.
Yeah.
Or isolating the dominant hand.
Yeah.
Like getting that saved me.
They're just spinning.
Yeah. Or like holding each other up so that they don't stop the fight. Like, no, don't you fall. Don't you fall. I'm not done with you. Fuck up.
I think it's like there's a lot of people who don't like the fighting, and I have tons of thoughts about it all too. But I think there is still like an honor code that like you don't like you know like you don't like rip the guy's helmet off. Like you take the punches on your knuckles and like you definitely like if you're going down, you're not like trying to crush this guy's head into the ice. You know, like that would be that would be like assault charges. You know, like there is some kind of balance, and I don't know exactly like where the line is, but somehow it works, you know.
Whatever happened with the dude? I feel like
Marty McSorley?
The guy that like lifted his leg and sliced.
Oh yeah, there's like a European League thing a while back.
It was like a couple months ago. I feel like.
Yeah, I guess I mean there are those cases where weird stuff like that's happened, but it's like so frowned upon. Like
like this. No. I guess this dude was known for causing problems. And they're trying to figure out if this was intentional or not. Like I don't. It doesn't like he wasn't intentionally trying to kill the guy, but like he definitely raised his leg and his skate.
Yeah.
But I wonder what happened.
But see, like I feel like you would hear about that way more, or like guys taking sticks to each other, if fighting didn't exist.
Right.
Like fighting is like the pressure valve.
Yeah.
I feel like because it's like, well, dude, take it out now. Like, get it.
Right.
It like I'll get canceled for this one, but there's like an aspect of like don't mess with like such and such player because if you touch that guy, someone else is coming after you.
Yeah, Gretzky had McSorley.
Yeah,
like,
and I think it's worked like 99.9% of the time. It works pretty well.
Are there still just like straight up goons in hockey? Or
it's rare. It's so rare.
If there are, they're also skilled.
They're also really good at it.
Yeah, which is kind of like crazy.
Yeah.
It's like I can beat your ass.
It's not the main thing. Yeah.
Well, dude, like so. We were getting ready to go meet up with some friends this weekend, and I was trying to find the Angels and Dodgers were playing each other, and so I was like getting ready, and I told my fiance, I was like, can you please try to find the game?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I have ESPN Plus, I can find it. And so she goes on, and then like she doesn't find it, she just puts on hockey,
right? And
it was the Flyers and I think the Rangers, and as she turns it on, apparently it's the fight of the year.
Okay. Yeah, nice.
I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I haven't seen it.
It is like, it's been a while since I've seen a fight go that long.
Yeah.
It was like a minute of haymakers.
Oh, nice.
Like, and I'm stealing that from John Boy because he said that, and I was just like, it was like old school, just like no blocking. You know what I mean? Like no strategy, just haymakers.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my gosh, she's like, this is awesome. She's like, the first thing she opens up, and it's like this now fight of the year, basically.
Amazing.
Oh, that's rad. I wasn't expecting to have a good hockey talk today,
dude,
guys.
hey.
It's nice.
I know.
What a treat. What a pleasure.
So, well, I guess we can say this. Growing up playing hockey, things like that, how did you get from that to like the Zen mindfulness space that you're in now?
Yeah, I guess.
You're like a lot of hockey fights.
A lot of hockey fights. Something really that has stuck with me and used to drive my dad crazy. We'd go watch hockey games, and I'd like sometimes not team would score, and I'd sort of be like excited about it, but like I wouldn't like sort of jump up and like I do because it's fun, but I would sometimes say like, Dad, I really love watching the sport, and I actually don't care that much like who wins or who loses. I just think it's like a really fun thing to watch. And like the more I think about it, the more that is like quite a Zen practice, or like the beauty of everyday things, like the mundane, like finding like
The beauty,
like
yeah.
beauty in mundane. Not that I'm like, you know, I'm not perfect at this at all, for sure. Have my moments, but I feel like the more you can appreciate or like learn to appreciate just like those small things, like just the easier and better life gets, you know. And like it is, maybe because I wasn't born here, definitely like every day that's like nice and sunny outside is like, you know, wow, another day. Like, you know, I feel super lucky. With that said, there's days where I'm like, damn, I didn't go outside today. Like I should probably go take a walk or something. But yeah, I think that those little moments I've definitely noticed. And then when I was a kid playing sports, it probably became a problem when there was body contact, because I used to just play and I would be like humming songs in my head all the time. I don't know, like, and then maybe that's why I like music. It was like it was a sign that I liked music more than sports.
Right.
And then got into the more like less team sports and more like skateboarding, snowboarding, like things you can do on your own, and you could wear some headphones and listen to music.
Right. Yeah.
And then, you know, I remember bringing a Punk-O-Rama CD into the hockey change room, and the guys, like, I was like maybe 13 years old, they hated it. They really hated it. Yeah. And I think we were having our like kind of like our Eminem era, you know, like getting into a little bit of hip hop, and you know, that stuff's cool. That like pumps up the change room too. But when I brought the Punk-O-Rama CD, it didn't land like I thought it would, and I was like, I think I'm different.
Mom, Dad, I think I'm a punk.
Dad, we need to have a talk about this, dude.
Yeah. I remember I borrowed a Green Day cassette from a kid in school, and my dad hated it. I was like, Dad, I need you to dub this cassette. And he was like, and he hated it. It was the Dookie cassette, and he was like, this is like the worst shit I've ever heard. And like, I was like, come on, Dad. I'm like, I really need you to dub it, you know? And he's like, you know, like, yeah, sure, but don't tell your mom or something. And so he did it. And then funny enough, now he likes Green Day, because they're like a proper like rock band, you know.
Back they were still proving themselves, you know, at that time, I think.
But I guess that's sort of the way. And then, you know, you get your new metal phase and your Limp Bizkits and all that good stuff. Loved, you know,
still love that era.
Long rides on the school bus going to school. And then probably just like many of us, the you know, just like the downloading music era, like your Napsters, Kazas, all that stuff, and discovering all types of random stuff. And one day you land on the Cro-Mags and the Bad Brains, and you're like, whoa, this is it. Like, it's like Metallica, but even better. But
Last weekend we were talking about the accidental, at least I was talking about the accidental like discovery. Like I think I'm downloading Strung Out.
Yeah.
But it's like, for me, in my case, it was this Mexican punk band that said like Strung Out, whatever song I was looking for.
Yeah.
But then they like tagged themselves and put their name in whatever.
Smart.
Yeah. And I felt, you know, I was like, dude me. But I listened to it. I was like, this is sick.
Yeah.
You got lucky on those, because I always downloaded them and they were just like porn tracks or something. And I'd be like just trying to pause it before my mom came in the room. Stop it.
Here, let's crank the volume on.
But I found a couple from that. Yeah. I found actually a Canadian band. That's how I found Reset.
Okay.
Which was Simple Plan.
And that's old school, yeah.
Mike, that was Simple Plan before Simple Plan.
Sick.
And they were like punk, like punk metal,
like more punk than
more punk than Simple Plan.
What came later?
You had your Gobs. Gob, lots of gems. We don't have a lot, but what we have, I think you have to. Not that Canadian bands work harder. I just think it's touring there is way tougher, like in terms of drives and, you know, winter 6 months out of the year or more. And getting into the U.S. is pretty tough. You know, it's much easier for Americans to go to Canada than the other way. So you do have to be like at a certain like a certain level where it makes sense for, you know, for your band pretty much needs to be making some money for you to be able to get over there, or to get into the U.S. So when you do hear of Canadian bands, they're typically like there's something they're doing really right.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And isn't there like a program in Canada that like helps support?
Yeah, absolutely. Factor. Yeah. I've been a jury for Factor before, where you can apply for like a demo fund or like a recording fund, get anywhere from, maybe $2,000 to $20,000 to make music. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You put together, you can work on the grant application, put together a pitch for like a marketing plan, and you'd have to provide some some MP3s and prove that you're kind of good enough.
Yeah.
And then it goes through a whole jury, and people I've been on these juries, and it's a total random mix of people, and they typically try to make sure that it's not just like your buddy's band or whatever. So it's like West Coast people will judge like East Coast artists and back and forth. But yeah, on the back of the Monk record, there is a little Government of Canada logo on it, because the label we're on gets a lot of funding from the government.
Okay.
We have not gotten any, but I will gladly accept it. But I'll be real proud of my citizenship when it's money time. Yeah.
So does that still apply? Like let's say you're here in the States, would you still be considered?
I think I could. Yeah, I think I could do it. And the fact that Scott, our guitarist, is Canadian, I think we can make the case for it.
Right.
And I think like some of the recording studios, and like depending on who we get to mix and master it, I think it could it's getting real like
get somebody in.
Yeah. It's getting a bit strategic, but I think if there's a certain percentage of like Canadian talent,
that's cool.
Then it could work. And one of the upsides, I mean, and I've done this with the band for music stuff and for also some merch stuff, is that use that exchange rate in our favor of like everything's kind of 20-25% cheaper kind of thing. So it definitely a factor in like a lot of the decisions we're making of like where are we getting stuff printed. So yeah, we're the like least Canadian American band, and like the whatever the other way around. But it is kind of funny that the project started in that way, or the band started in that way. But like, no, we're an LA band. We're here. We're right here. But when you bring in the online factor of like, a lot of people have music projects that are like done remotely and things like that. It's kind of wild. Totally different era.
Completely. Yeah, the game has changed.
Yeah.
All right, sick. Well, let's jump into a couple questions we got for you. Let's start with Darsum reached out.
Yeah.
And said, what's the cardio routine for Frank?
What's the cardio routine?
Dude is absolutely wild on stage and the floor.
Well, I'll take it. Shout out to Gabe. Love Gabe. Cardio routine. I do these Chris Heria YouTube videos. He's like a calisthenics guy.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's also like tatted up. So I'm like, okay, I like this guy already, I can connect. And so I'm just trying to be like Chris. But yeah, I try to at least take a jog once a week or something. Yeah, it helps.
Nice. I wish I could jog once a week and be wild.
I know. I was thinking that right now too. I was like,
so the question that Michael probably asked, do you have like a set like warm up routine that you do before you get on stage, or you
just some stretches? Yeah, just stretch.
Yeah.
But definitely feel
how angry Mike is.
I'm not gonna say I don't feel it though. I definitely feel it. There's a recovery period for sure.
I do the absolute most.
Just
just perform, just to do it.
Yeah.
That's the most.
Because we're always like the punk band on a hardcore bill or the hardcore band on a punk bill.
Mm-hmm.
I just expect that I'm gonna go out there and do it all myself, So if the crowd's moving, that's amazing. But I mean, I guess too, at this age, I'm doing it for me because I like it, So yeah.
Sick. All right. Ty asked, "What do you feel is the most understood thing about the hardcore?"
Probably misunderstood.
Misunderstood.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big question. Most misunderstood thing.
That's a good question, Ty.
Yeah.
Shit, I don't know, man.
I can give you
think
one
about that. Yeah, you guys got any answers?
That people probably think we're all like tough guy assholes.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. That's. I feel like I've seen that as a bit of a theme in some of these podcasts with you guys. Is like a lot of people coming in. They're like, oh wow, like this is the environment. Okay, I got to put on like a front a little bit. Like here I am, I'm tough. Like, yeah, that's a big one.
Hockey.
Hockey.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think just the hardcore scene in general, like it's an aggressive form of music, but at the same time, I think a lot of people misconstrue that as like everybody are like, and there are aggressive people, but not everybody's. I'm probably like the biggest fucking clown that you'll meet.
Yeah,
you go out and do heavy stuff, and then you're a clown again afterwards.
Yeah, I think one of the awesome changes that I've seen is that maybe 10 years ago, and I don't know, like I can't speak to Southern California, but where I was at, a lot of bands talking about everyone's welcome here, blah blah blah. This is a place where everyone's safe, and you look around, you're like, no, not everyone's safe, and everyone's white.
Yeah.
So like, where's the thing you're talking about? So, but I feel like right now is the most diverse I've seen, like the hardcore just music world in general. Like it's not just dudes. I'm seeing a lot more women, younger girls coming out, and like also like it's a lot safer to do so. Like people do sketchy stuff, they get called out, they get kicked out of bands. I think that's important.
Dude, I don't know how true this is. I just saw an article that was on like We Are the Pit.
Yeah.
That was talking about a Mexican hardcore band called Llorona, I think. Did you see this? Yeah. Dude, I don't know how true this is, but I'm going to tell you the gist of it. Their singer got kicked out of the band because he was mixing estrogen into one of their guitar players' protein shakes so that he would
steal his fiance.
So he could steal his fiance.
Wow, I don't even know where to start with that.
And there was like this whole back and forth on like Instagram where they're posting stories talking about like, I guess he's like works either with supplements or something like that. Yeah. So he would give them all protein that like maybe wasn't selling, or that was like a sample bottle that
just giving one guy the
pumping them with estrogen. So they were developing
so
like
messed up.
Nashville?
Yeah. That's so messed up.
I was totally off on that. I thought I read some. Maybe it was just the name, and I just assumed. But that's crazy.
Wild.
That's something. Holy shit!
What a way to get kicked out of a band. I mean,
yeah, you deserve it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that just kind of sparked that.
Yeah.
Once again, I don't know how true that is, but if that's true, that's a fucking wild.
That's
whitish.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like why? But like, what a way to like, I don't know.
That's your thing. That's what you're known for now.
Like, I'm gonna steal your girlfriend because I'm gonna give you man boobs. Like,
I hope the at best they get a killer new singer,
dude,
and more people discover the band.
Yeah,
I hope they get massive audiences.
Yeah.
Also, this might be like the sickest just marketing ploy that they've ever come up with. Who knows?
Just giving everybody creatine.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. The Jackknife Boys asked, what was the inspiration behind the rock EP? Music, message, and art.
Yeah, I think we covered a bit early in the pod. But yeah, it's time I spent with the Tibetan monk. That was like right at the forefront for sure. And then musically, all the good stuff that I grew up on, all the hardcore from the 80s, and then the bands that throw back to that style, your Government Warnings, your 86 Mentalities, lots of good European bands like Dead Stop. That was like a huge inspiration of mine. And not just old stuff, new stuff too, bands like Gel, Spy, Bib, all 3-letter bands. But
I recently started getting
crush.
into Gel, dude.
Yeah,
I dig it.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that kind of like sort of new take on an old thing, and you're like, oh, it's not just like a recycling of trying to do an old thing again. Yeah. It's like there's a newness to this. So yeah, that some of the musical inspo.
Yeah, and then I kind of read a little bit about it in your on you guys' site,
Right.
but like the name and logo,
Oh yeah.
or the sun logo,
Right.
Is that also,
Yeah, I mean, well, being a designer for a living, I mean, I've designed brands and things, and I feel like I have a few tools in my pocket for these types of things. Yeah, the sun's a symbol that comes back into my life in a few different ways. I have, your own, like I was mentioning about like walking outside and appreciating, the outdoors and things like that, and I also figure like. Not a lot of people don't like the sun. I mean, some people do.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a historically quite popular figure. You ever heard of it? Yeah, and yeah, that kind of piece stuck. There were a few like variations of it. There was one that was like really looking like a buzzsaw a little too much. So I was I'll like dial it back a little bit. And then like some pieces came together at the last minute, like the front of the record is like the sun moon kind of thing. And there it is. Yeah, that was like,
Thank you, by the way.
that was no problem. Yeah, that was like a last minute thing. There was another cover that ends up being like the test press cover, but I was gonna go with the other cover, and then I whipped that up at the last minute. There was just something thinking like, it's not quite right yet. Like I need, it's, we're about to like send it to the printer, but I can't click send. Yeah.
sick. And that kind of answers the other question.
Yeah.
What made you guys decide the band name to be Monk? And then they said dope ass name, by the way.
Thank you. I mean,
Charlie, what was it?
Good luck, Charlie.
Good luck, Charlie.
We had a few other names we were throwing around. I mean, I'm sure like any musician, you've got a list in your notes app of like titles for things. Yeah. Everyone's nodding. It's painful, man. You hold on to those for years. Years. And then it's like, you know what? Well, it could be, those other names could be song titles.
Yeah.
They could be a record, or it could be something else. And Monk really stuck. I mean, you got to do your like sort of Spotify searching. Is there something else? There's always something else.
There's always something else, yeah.
If there's nothing else in your genre, and you're probably not going to get sued for it. And if you did, make a good story anyway. Or not, you wouldn't probably get sued. You'd just get a cease and desist. Yeah, that's fine. You just cease and desist. And the punchiness of just like it's not a mouthful. It's just like I was mentioning. I like those bands like Bib, Gel, Spy. That's easy. It rolls off the tongue. And my old band being called Vicious Cycle, that was just a lesson in like what not to name your band. It was like we'd get to a venue and see the poster on the wall. It's like Vicious Circle, and you're like, oh no, it's not the name. Oh, we're totally screwed. No one's coming to the show.
I love when they fuck up your name and you're just like, really? Like, how'd you come up with that?
Especially when you have a long ass name.
Yeah.
Now I get them prepped, man. I got the Dropbox link with the logo files.
Yeah, I saw you
it's
have like the press kit.
If not everyone finds it, but if you find it, you're set. You go run with that. Do whatever you want with it, but at least you'll get the name right.
Yeah. Dude, it's naming a band is just kind of one of those
tough.
things that's just so tough. And then like for you named it Monk before you brought everybody else in, right?
Right.
So
we didn't have to decide on that. No.
But when it's like 5 dudes trying to throw out names, you're like, this is
It's the worst.
You guys obviously listened to that the Hard Lore podcast. They had an interview with Will Putney.
Yeah.
So
dude, yes.
Did you hear the story about it's a fit for an autopsy? And one guy was like saying, it's like you're like sexy for a morgue or a corpse. I was like, I never would have thought that, but that's insane.
I love that Putney was like, yeah, like we didn't think that it was gonna stick, and now we're like, fuck.
I gotta live with that. I mean, anyone naming their band, just like do some mock-ups on a t-shirt or something. Like print a few out, and if you have any hesitation to wear that shirt out in public, it's probably a good sign that's not the one.
Say it out loud a bunch too, like not just like this looks cool.
Yeah. Picture your coworker asking you what is, unless
you have 1000%.
Unless you have a really strong reason. Like some of my buds are in this band called Fucked Up out of Toronto, and like they're like, their name is like the magic of the band. Like it's they became known for it, but it becomes really problematic for like they actually get radio play. They actually get like magazine covers.
They're like effed up.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, but it's also like now it's like the edgy thing where it's like,
Yeah.
why are they called that? So again, that's a good enough reason. Don't know if they planned it that way, but
Do they spell it differently, like FUCC?
no, well they'll
Apostrophe
do
D.
like the like bars or like an
Okay.
asterisk or whatever,
Yeah.
or like on TV stuff, they're like effed up.
Yeah.
They did some like MTV live thing at one point, way back. It was funny hearing the hosts kind of work with that.
I just always like the trends that go through where you see band names like with fucked up. You'll see like the asterisk and the dollar signs or whatever.
Right.
And then like we've talked about this before, like when all bands were changing their A's to V's.
Oh, A's to V's, that's a classic
Like,
move.
Is this Landmavarks or is it, you know what?
How do I say this? You know what's a unique new move is I've seen some bands who just change the name and just act like sort of nothing happened, like it,
Dude.
or it's like part of their thing, like the name has an evolution. You know, it's like per record. It's what's this band? They're this band called Milk Music, and they changed their name to, I think it's like Mystic 100s or something. It's not, I'm like, wait, when did that happen? You're like, all of a sudden it changed. And do you guys know? Do you guys anyone like more like ambient music or like Godspeed or things like that?
Yeah.
There's a band, Silver Mount Zion. They're like in that world, like Explosion in the Sky, Godspeed kind of style, really melodic, like big, like orchestral almost, and they sort of shift the name a little bit every once in a while. So it's like a Silver Mount Zion. Then it became like the Silver Mount Zion. And you're like, what are they gonna do next? I don't know if they still do it, but I was like, that's unique. Yeah.
And then eventually it'll just be Zion.
Yeah.
I'm okay with like, we're gonna change the name because this doesn't fit us anymore, right? But it always weirds me out when bands keep the same name and then just go for a full sonic change.
Right.
Like when 100th did it, I was like, what just happened?
100th, that was a bold
shit.
move. And they're still going. They just push through it.
Yeah.
So, the one thing that's tough is replacing a singer. It does happen, but it's very
Dude, I was
it's really hard
about this literally earlier today when I was driving, because I was listening to the new Ignite Comeback Kid song, which I had sent to Mike, and Mike is a huge Zoli fan.
Yeah.
And like, I like the new guy.
I do too.
Do you? Do you?
I do too. I like him.
It's just, but it doesn't feel like Ignite, right?
It's just it's just hard. Like, I think he's a great singer, and it'd be like one of those things where if it was like members of Ignite,
Right.
I'd probably be way more into it.
Right.
I'm still hard.
Yeah. And, but to me, I was like, I was like just stuck at a red light having this conversation in my head by myself, and I was like, like, I don't hate when people get a new singer, because I can kind of go like, oh, from this point forward, this is what the band sounds like.
A new chapter. Yeah.
But it is jarring when it's a complete departure from what it was before, right? You're like, oh, you guys should have just changed the name of the band completely. Like
you mentioned Comeback Kid, they did it pretty well, but they did so much after I think like Wake the Dead that they were able to like nobody really, I don't think, remembers.
Well, it helps when your new singer is also the singer for Figure 4.
Figure 4, He somehow matched the voice like almost spot on, where if you'd never seen the band, you'd be like, I didn't even know
this.
Yeah.
And I love that he's like, he's the one that didn't want to be a vocalist either, right?
Yeah, he likes playing guitar.
He wanted to play guitar, and he's like, fuck. Right. And it's one of the best frontmen, like,
it's amazing.
in the game, but still.
Yeah, I mean, it was, we don't have to get super into it, but when I talk about my old band, that was a bit of a sore spot of like, at one point our singer didn't want to tour anymore, and like, all the respect, they didn't, I was having trouble sleeping and stuff on tour, and like life was getting pretty miserable in that way. But it did feel like sort of the band had to stop at one point because of that. And I guess thinking about this new band, it was like, I don't want to I don't want to have to rely on, I want to be like as in charge as possible, and not that I'm a control freak. I just know how it goes when, with democratic decision making like that, it can be tough.
And that first tour is like, it's a real,
Yeah.
like it proves whether
Yeah.
you can do this or not.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And there's nothing wrong for people who don't want to do that.
Yeah.
100%.
Doesn't make you any less of a musician.
No, it's not for everyone.
It's cool, like the idea, especially when you've never gone on the road or done anything. It's like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna be with my friends for a week straight, like in a van, cool. And then like day 2, you're like, oh fuck, this is not.
Yeah.
This is not what I hoped and dreamed for.
That's that, like, what is it, like the 8 to 10th day when like everyone starts to get really sad. Like, it takes a turn for the worse,
dude.
And then if you can push through that, it like gets better again.
I definitely had my moments where I'd be like just in a corner listening to City and Color, like,
Yeah, man,
oh.
that's real. That's real.
Right in the front, everyone's asleep, and you're just like,
dude, yeah,
2 a.m. Death Cab playing.
yeah. Somebody wakes up and goes, "What the fuck are you listening to? Don't
go back to sleep.
go back to bed."
I can't be hard all the time.
Or like, have you seen that meme where it's like, like dudes in their 30s saying, "Man, I miss tour," and then it says the tour, and it's just dudes asleep on the floor of a van with like shit all around them.
Yeah. Oh, it's bad.
So
But yeah, some people are absolute road dogs. Some people are built for it, but it's not everyone's thing.
It's not.
Whenever we bring out somebody who's like not done much on the road, I'll like sort of give them the, as much in advance as I can of like what to expect. And obviously, like, we're not sleeping on floors every day, but once in a while you might have to. You might have to bring your sleeping bag.
The big thing for me was like, to start my day, I have to shower.
Yeah,
like that's
same,
just like
same.
my thing. Like I have to shower and it resets me.
Mm-hmm.
Doing that first, like,
Yeah.
fuck, I can't shower for like 3 days. It was. I was like, I've never smelled like this before. I've never felt like this before.
I'm an asshole for the shower. I don't care. I won't even ask. I'll just go use the shower. It's like, no, even the iciest, coldest, like no hot water in this European squat shower. I'm like, fuck it. I'm showering. It will be painful, but I will be so happy.
Mastered this.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember taking a cup shower in somebody's like basement because they were like, the shower doesn't work down there, and there were like 3-4 dudes that were lined up upstairs, and I was like, "Is this the water work?" Like, it's cold. Fine. I just took a cup and I just squatted in the shower and just
You do it. You got
rinse myself off. 'Cause whatever, I'm gonna make it happen. So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah, it's not
Miss
always
tour.
it's not always glorious.
I miss tour.
It's those moments where you really get put to the test is a couple of days like that, maybe a long drive, and then you end up spending like the whole day in some cities I won't name, but you're just waiting. It's just the waiting game.
Hurry up and wait.
And then you get a crowd of 4 or something. You're like, ooh, okay, like who really wants this? So it does happen. The highlight reel, the YouTube clips are not. It's not the whole show. It's not the whole tour. And I think even bands that you think never get those nights, I'm sure they still get those nights.
Yeah.
I do love though, like this new era of social media where people are starting to like call that out and just make it known.
Yeah.
And so like you'll see the memes and shit like that. I saw one the other day that was hilarious. It was like the band, and there's just like a bunch of skinny dudes with long hair.
Yeah.
Like the venue, and it's just a basement with like no lights.
Yeah.
And they're like the crowd, and it's just one like crackhead in a park, and he's just waving his arms around. You're like, best show on tour.
Some of the basements are sick. Not a lot of basements in California, but man, sometimes you get to a venue and you're like, could have been a basement, could have been like, would have been a lot tighter.
Yeah.
Would have been like, a lot more energy. Instead we're, there's like even if there's, 100 people, if it's too big of a space, it just, you feel that disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have to go into it. We know all about it.
We've been there.
Been there.
Been there. Yeah.
You want to jump into this mental health check?
Yeah, dude, I'm excited to get into it with you, man.
Let's do it.
Mental health check is where we like to check in weekly, see where we're at mentally. That way, if things are going well, what's going on in our life, or what are we doing that's helping us, and if things aren't going so great, what's going on in our life, or what are we maybe neglecting to do. So, who wants to go first? Actually, I would like for you to go
You're
first.
first.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the prompt? What's the first question?
So basically, it's just so where mentally where are you at this week?
Mentally, where I'm at.
Last week,
coming off some shows, a little tour. It's definitely a struggle to get back into the swing of like regular life and not feel like a total alien when you get to work or get to like get back home, and I'm like suddenly super like hyper, and I'm like used to this feedback every day of like there's an audience. So just trying to like mellow out in that way a little bit.
Adjusting to the schedule of home.
The schedule of home for sure. I was, trying to get outside a little bit, go for, bare minimum, go for a walk, even if it's not like strenuous exercise, something like that, just to clear your mind a little bit. Try not to, TikTok scroll, for sure do it. Everybody does. But trying to set some limits with that. And also I know it's like, it's not a great thing to do with if your kids around, to just be like showing them these habits of, hey, no screen time for you, but screen time for me. That stuff.
Elliot has started learning the trending sounds on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Like, whenever a video pops up with like the oh no, he
Right.
starts singing it, and I'm like, who's showing you these videos?
He's like, what's that?
Yeah.
That stuff. Is there another?
If we can expand on it. So like,
Sure.
what's something? What are your go-tos? I know breathing.
Breathing for sure
is big, but
meditation.
what are some like? Yeah, what are some like your coping, or not even coping, but just your mindfulness exercises?
Yeah, I mean, everything. Mindfulness is just like practicing self-awareness and focusing on breath, and like everything comes back to breath, because your thoughts will always go all over the place, and that's totally normal. But like if you can in some moments in your day, like even just 5 minutes, like just focus on your breathing for a sec, and I think acknowledging thoughts, even bad ones, even like dark thoughts, we all have those, that those don't define you. Those are just thoughts, and you just because you thought of like opening the airplane window doesn't mean you would do it. Right?
It takes so much force to do it.
Like, we would always joke, and me and my friends would joke like how messed up it would be if you just like clocked some nice person right in the face, just like they weren't expecting it. They'd be like, what the you're like, I would never do that. But like that's but why did that cross my mind?
Dude,
we all do.
Dude, man.
We all have those thoughts.
Such a nice person.
Like, that would be so fucked up. That would be so
I had a very impressionable moment. And it was something I heard on tour. And he was just talking about the power of like how powerful we are as people. And I'm like, I get on board. He's like, no, like we truly are very powerful. He's like, I could walk up to someone and just be like, hey, like, you put together nicely, or whatever it is, or like, hey, like, have a nice day, whatever. Or I could deck someone in the face.
Two options.
And I can ruin their fucking day.
Yeah, it'd be the worst day ever.
It's like, I guess so.
100%. This is like maybe a typical thing. I don't know if a lot of people do this, but I try to keep a stack of $1 bills in the car, and I try to always, if somebody's
for strippers.
For sure. I've been going to Tijuana a lot. No, just like the people that are like homeless people hanging at the lights and stuff like that, and it does, not that you're like doing it for credit or anything, but it does give you a bit of a sense of like feels like a nice thing to do, even though it's a very small thing, and just to have that like little moment of like connectedness with another person, and like you see the humanity in it a little bit, and but yeah, it's something I try to do, and also like practicing gratitude for like what you have, and you know, and also being okay with what you don't have.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is one big culture shock. I think living in Southern California is there are a lot of people who have a lot of things that you might never have, you know, and there's some
Keeping up with the Joneses
Yeah.
is real.
Yes, that like this is a bubble for sure, you
Yeah.
know, and so like you know, part of mindfulness practicing acceptance, all those good things, acceptance, compassion, kindness. If you can find like the smallest ways to like add that into your life, I think we'll all be better for it, you know. And you'll never be perfect. Like, it's not about perfection. It's not about like even like this joke we used to always say at work was like, it's called meditation practice, not meditation perfect, because it's like always practice, you know.
Yeah.
And even when I worked at the place and we did it every day as a team, I could still go like weeks or months without like ever doing it. And then you do it and you're like, oh, that was awesome. I should do that every day. And you're like, then you know, it's like, it's harder than going to the gym for some reason, you know?
I had a buddy of mine, because he would meditate regularly, and I would tell him, like, I can't do it. Like, I can't sit down. Like, as soon as I sit down and, like, try and meditate, like, all I'm thinking about is all. And it wasn't until he kind of explained, like, that's kind of part of it. You have to work through all that to get to the point where you're not thinking about those things. And I was like,
it's a process. And also like I think there's an aspect of like, I always would say I like the idea of mindful living even more than meditation as a practice, and like these small moments of like if you have time, if you can give yourself the time, if you're like going to the grocery store, you know, you're in a bit of a hurry, or like hopefully you're not in a hurry. But I think when you get into a place like a grocery store and we start acting in a hurry, you know, and you're kind of like, you get annoyed that you know, the lineup is so long and why is that guy standing there and I'm looking for the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I try to like, and it's not definitely changed since I've become a parent, but before that, those good old days where I could have just like, I'm like, you know what? I'm not like giving into this rat race right now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna like enjoy this thing. Like I'm gonna like walk down this aisle at like a normal pace, and I'm like, you know, I'm not gonna be stressed out about it. And if I get in line and there's a big lineup, I'm going to like find something else to focus on. Like, oh, like, you know, I can see that like that truck that is sitting on your table. Like, oh, that's a cool truck. Oh, it's a red truck. And try to like kind of peel the layers back a bit, and like I wonder what the story of that truck is, you know, and like if I could talk to the person who gifted that truck. You know, it's kind of like, maybe sounds a bit crazy, but there are these little ways of like keeping your mind interested in those moments that are typically like where you're just like nothing or like anger.
Dude, the grocery store is like it's such a mission for me.
Yeah.
Because like normally I run in and get what I need and get out as fast as I can.
Yeah.
Because when I go in there and I do take my time in the house, I end up spending 3 times.
That's true.
I'm like, what?
That's true.
There's Cheetos mac and cheese now?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There's a hot Cheetos mac and cheese? This sounds disgusting. I want to try it.
Hot Cheeto Puffs?
Yeah.
Since when?
I do.
Did the puff corn? Unreal.
I do like that a lot of the stores now have probably a COVID thing. They have the free pickup. That's been a game changer.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I've not been spending as much time in the grocery store, but the pickup's a good option.
So I do have a question for you, kind of going back on one of the things that you had said. So when you are, let's say, giving money to somebody who's homeless, right? Do you give more to the signs that are wholesome or the signs that are funny? Because if I get like need money for kung fu lessons to fight the aliens, I'm giving that guy probably more.
Yeah, I think we should reward creativity. Yeah, it's that's a good one. Yeah, I think if they've made you smile, then it feels totally like an exchange. That's cool.
And then I don't want to like put you on the spot, but I feel like you get this question a lot.
Sure.
Oh, I breathe every day all the time. What's the difference of like when you say breathing? Like how do you?
Well, it's all unconscious breath. Like if you're not thinking about it, you're still going to breathe, right? Like it's how you stay alive every day. So I think it's the idea of focusing on breathing.
Jesse just started sitting there going,
All right, I want everybody with me. Take one deep breath. Yeah.
So every time somebody says breathing, I just start thinking about
Yeah.
Well, it is. It's one of those things. It's like thinking about sleeping too. Like, you know, you could have just fallen asleep, or you could have thought about falling asleep, and it's hard to fall asleep. But yeah, focusing on breathing. I think that's different than just like staying alive breathing. You know, and it is a thing you have some control over. And I just think when you're sort of it's gonna sound like probably like religious-y or like culty, but there's like I think a conversion aspect to like somebody who does like a breathing practice or meditation practice or something, where you're like, you do need that aha moment at one point where like, oh, that like really helped, you know, or like I had a really tough shift at work, or I had a fight with my partner or whatever, or I'm just like upset about something. And to be able to have something like grounding, centering a little bit like that to sort of give you that reset. And even if it's like, it's not going to solve all your problems either, but it'll put you in a better state of mind to hopefully get to that at some point.
or maybe even just slow you down.
Slow you
and
down.
kind of, you know.
And even if it stops you from like maybe making that decision in the future, or it's a little pause. It's a little pause between you and your thoughts and you and your like decision making. And and again, like no one's going to be perfect. You should never expect perfection about that. But yeah, so when it came time to write a hardcore record, that was the thing. That was it. So yeah, thanks for the questions, guys. Right.
Where are you at, Mike?
Well, I'll see where I'm at, but I feel like I've talked about this on the podcast, but I had a interview that was going to be done over Zoom.
Yeah.
And so they told me, hey, at whatever it was, at like 10 a.m. Dinner. So then like I gave myself 5 minutes. I was like, okay, 5 minutes, I'm just going to do breathing, calm myself down.
Yeah.
So 10 a.m. comes, they're not ready yet. Okay, I'm going to keep going. 10:05, 10:50. Dude, I did like focused breathing for like 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was the most cool I've ever been in an interview.
Yeah.
I was like
Nice.
completely unfazed.
Yeah. Amazing.
I was so incredibly chill. Yeah.
You were so cool that they were like, I don't think this is.
Yeah. It's not a good
It's
fit.
a high pressure environment.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
He's not a good fit here, but
Well, yeah, then you don't show up, hopefully not with like the jitters or the like, meeting people for the first time, and especially that Zoom interview thing. It's like so hard,
dude. And there's like a panel. It was weird.
Yeah.
There.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one.
So I feel like past week I've been doing pretty well just because I've been consistent with the gym. I've been going to the gym, which is a new thing for me. Mike knows.
Awesome.
New thing for me, and I feel like that's been really helpful. I think I'm not just because you're here, but I really do feel like I need to take an opportunity to be more present and not because I feel like I'm getting carried away with all the external things going on, and I think I'd like to. So last week was great because like doing gym stuff. I think this week I want to try to be as present as possible this week.
Cool.
So I feel like that'll be my. We don't really do like the future, but
yeah.
I feel like that's something that I'd like to do.
And you got some big life plans coming up, big milestones. So
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So, little stressful things here and there, but
Just a little.
dude. Also, I'm gonna say something right now.
Go for it.
So, I'm a little naive when it comes to marriage and stuff, and so, I got her an engagement ring, and financially it was,
Yeah, it's a
nice
a
little
stretch.
pretty
Absolutely.
thing, huh?
Yeah, so today we went and we're like, oh, let's look for like, or start looking for wedding band for you. I'm like, all right, cool. So in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not as much as what
Yeah.
but I thought it was like going to be pretty high. When they told me how much it cost, I was like,
You're upset, huh?
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So I had a reaction.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
a pretty I feel like even keeled kind of person. I don't get too
Yeah.
overexcited. My face said something
Yeah.
to
Couldn't hide it.
the lady. She's like, oh, well, it's on sale. It's on sale. I was like, that's not.
You're not really a jewelry guy. You don't have to go.
No, I know that, Michael, but
You don't have to go that route.
it's not that. I'm just talking. What I'm getting at is the spirit. Like, dude, it was. I'm like, wait, how much? That's how much it costs, and that's how much I paid for that.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
It's a different ball game when it comes to like
Yeah.
engagement ring for her versus just a band for you.
I was like, well, maybe I want diamonds in my ring. I was like, let's take that price up. Maybe I want some diamonds. Maybe I want my name in there. Maybe put my bands on there or
Mike
something.
just has the iciest ring. It's just going like this all the time.
I
so
could
good.
not. I was like, well, that's not fair.
Yeah. It's
a good lesson.
it's upsetting.
Yeah.
The difference between-
But no, but it was good. It was fine.
Yeah. No, that's funny. Yeah, man. That's I was gonna say something about marriage, about it's not fair. Sometimes it's not fair.
Yeah. Yeah. The scales are definitely a little off balance.
Yeah,
It's how you stay married. That scale's gotta go the other way for a while. Yeah.
They balance out at some point in the long run, from what I hear.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think the trade off is, she's marrying a dude who is doing something he started when he was like 15 years old. So
yeah, that's fair.
I feel like I guess I can suck that up.
So commitment's not an issue for you.
He's very good. He's very persistent.
Dude, I am. Yeah. Michael, where are you at?
Oh man. So yesterday was a little bit of a like gut punch. A couple things. The Feels on Wheels is back in the shop. Turns out the brake booster that they had installed in the van was faulty, and we had some sketchy moments. And then they were telling me like everything's in spec. I was like, dude, like I've worked on cars and stuff before. Can you guys just check it?
Yeah.
And so they go in and they're like, yo, we checked it. It's just in spec. And the guy was like, but it's like this far off from not being in spec. So while it's here for the brake booster, I would recommend brakes and rotors and all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? Just do it. Like, I don't want to talk about how much this is going to cost, whatever. And then like, the whole thought pops into my head, like, could we do this ourselves? Probably. I don't have the time or the space to really do it. So just get it done. Right. So that's adding like an extra $400 total to everything.
Yeah.
So it's like now
Just a reminder that we have a GoFundMe on our page.
yeah. So the van is just like, hopefully when we get it back this time around, everything's going to be good. It's not going to be scary to drive it. So there was that. And then I'd gone over to my dad's house to help him with, they were having guests coming into town this week, starting today. So I helped him get a bunch of stuff situated in the house, which really was just me like by myself moving furniture from room to room and like helping repot plants and then being attacked by a cactus again.
Yeah.
I fell on a
on
cactus off a ladder at his house, and then he was like, help me pot this cactus. I was like, all right. And then I came home yesterday, and we've been like prepping the garage for the music video shoot, and I was going to get in there and work, but Crime was in there working on stuff. So I was like, you know what? I checked the forecast. It's not going to rain. Detailed both of our cars. Got them both sick.
Yeah.
Went to work today. First off, like, I've been working from home, but we had a day today where we were like, everybody's got to come in for a meeting. Cool. Went to work this morning. Everybody called off. So I'm the only one in the office by myself all day. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go home. And then I walk out on break and it's pouring rain. I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
One of those days.
It was like, all right, cool. But, I was like, all right, it is what it is. Like, we just kind of take it in stride and we'll just, move forward. But it was definitely like back to back, like just a bunch of just nonsense. So
Shit sandwiches.
but yeah, honestly, I'm kind of just kind of had like a kind of pretty positive mentality on things. Like with the van, I was like, well, at least like there shouldn't be any issues when we get it back because now everything in the braking system is new, right? So everything should be golden. You know, with the cars, at least the interiors are clean because it's been so stormy and rainy lately that it's been like muddy in the car and stuff like that. So at least the inside of the cars are clean, even though the outside now isn't. And so just like little things like that. And I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm going to be back here recording the podcast anyways. So it's probably better that I wasn't in here working all day before the podcast so that, you know, kind of, so I was just kind of looking at the upsides to everything. So it's not, you know, I feel like I've been in a better headspace lately with a lot of things. So, and we have like a lot of, and then we got a curveball for our music video last night where we had to change plans on the fly.
Oh shit.
So I just immediately went into like brainstorming mode last night and I was like texting everybody at random hours. And, like,
Yeah, dude.
I was like, I'm sorry. But I was like, okay, this is not going to work. I need to make this work. So we had to like shift locations and stuff like that last minute. But everything is going to work out.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it might even end up being a little bit cooler than it was going to be before.
Yeah.
In a sense. So, kind of happy about that. So it was just like, I feel like my brain over the past like 3-4 days has just been in like problem solving mode.
Yeah.
So now coming down from that, I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. Level out.
Music videos, I don't know what's harder, recording an album or planning a video. That's a big task to take on.
And the thing about this video is, so we're playing with some of our, like, this, it's like a homie band that's completely different than what people are used to hearing from us. Like, it's a skate punk project. And it's like, it's been a big undertaking, I think, for all of us because it's just different.
Yeah.
And this is like we're dropping the first single with the video, like kind of all at once.
Yep.
And we have like this huge, like we're for a first music video, we're undertaking like a huge project. Like we've cast actors, the location, like all this stuff. So for that like wrench to be thrown in there a week before we're supposed to shoot, it was like, oh fuck, what do we do?
Yeah.
but you know, like we salvaged it. But it was like definitely one of those like oh shit, we have to deviate from what the plan has been for months now. How do we, you know? So that was just like also like one, we have to perform in the video.
Yeah.
I'm not used to, like, I'm playing guitar.
Like fake rocking out.
Yeah, I'm not used to having to like
you look as sick as you
like
want, man.
Yeah.
Just put a disclaimer. You want to
Dude, it's so funny because I can talk about it a little. Like we have these actors that essentially we had to coach to look like us and
They're
to move like
younger
us.
versions of us.
Yeah.
that are playing.
Cool.
And these, like, the kid that's playing me has never played guitar in his life.
Okay.
Plays violin.
Yeah.
And so it's been like
He's
this,
musical.
like,
Yeah.
it's been like this whole like, okay, well when you play, like, try and do less of the Elvis thing with your lip.
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like so it's been interesting because we're like coaching these kids to try and it like it points out stuff about us that we're like, because we had to all film videos of us performing the song to send to them.
This was I feel like that was like it's like a humbling bonding experience.
Because and we're all roasting each other when we send the videos and stuff. It was funny too. And like Ryan sent his video and he's just we already knew he doesn't really move.
He shreds.
He shreds, so it makes up for it. But he's like, I thought I was doing way more than I actually am. I was like,
so
sick, dude.
So in a band where we all just kind of flame each other just because that's what it is. Our bass player was like, hey man, like let's videotape ourselves performing, send it to the kids, and then he texts me on the side. He's like, hey Mike, you know, if you want to give him like any kind of feedback, this is his name. If you want to just tell him anything, a little message, cool. I was like, all right. I'm doing this thinking I'm going to record this. I'm going to send it to Rick Rick's gonna send it to the kid,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Nope.
Nope. He put it right in our group chat. I was like,
Right in the band group chat.
Pure roasting material.
Oh.
Oh,
like-
dude, it's so good.
I was like,
That's funny.
you know what though? I was like, okay, so he put mine in. He better put everyone else's, and he did, and so it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. and
Humbling.
like, you know, it'll be things like Ryan's like, remember guys, I'm not feeling good, so consider that before you roast me. And
Oh, yeah.
I considered it, and then I just start saying it like random shit. So, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited about the video. I think it's just such a, like, once we're done with it, we're gonna get that moment of like, all right, cool.
Oh yeah.
We got this.
yeah.
But it's such a undertaking to make all the pieces fit that
Yeah.
like, I know Rick was stressed the fuck out last
Oh
night.
yeah.
And it was just like, okay, cool. You stress, I'm gonna find a solution and let's work this out. But yeah, so other than that, man, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, feeling pretty positive kind of about everything. So yeah.
That's great.
Well, let's add some songs to this playlist and then let's get out of here. You want to explain the walk playlist?
So we have a playlist for the podcast, and what we like to do is for our guests is have you put a song that you want to put from Monk on,
Sure.
and then give us a song that you're jamming, and it can be anything. It can be
anything?
any genre. It can be it can be
Alright.
anything.
It could be a guided meditation.
Guided meditation. So let's do, I guess for the Monk track, we got to do Nothing Matters, because that one, I feel like that one kind of gets the message across nicely. And what I've been jamming as I'm pulling up Spotify, let's do
It's funny because
Let's
I
do-
think Cool
yeah.
and Collected is already on our playlist because I think
Oh, is
the
it?
Jackknife Dudes added it.
Oh yeah.
did the Jackknife Dudes, did anybody add anything by 92?
No.
I would throw on Above the Law by 92.
Yeah, I was at their first show this weekend, actually.
Oh, yeah. They're amazing. We got to play with them twice, and we just couldn't stop jamming it in the van. Like, you know, one of those. You're like, man, the band is so fucking good, and like doing something that feels so fresh. You know.
You said Above the Law?
Yeah, Above the Law.
Sick. Mike, what do you want to add this week?
Oh man. We do this every week, and I'm never prepared.
Yeah.
never prepared.
You knew this was coming.
I know. Also, while I'm trying to look for this, I didn't realize that I was paying for 2 Spotify premiums.
Ooh.
So when I figured that out, I was like, oh, there's that set list or that whole thing I'd done years ago.
Yeah.
Disappeared, but yeah.
When you find yours, I'm going to add that new Throne song, Backfire, on here. This band just, they haven't missed yet. Have you listened to Throne at all?
Mm.
So they're I guess they're Swedish?
Really?
I think so. So they're this band Throne, they have like 6 or 7 songs or something like that, and they're heavy, and they're already at like 1.1 million monthly listeners.
Let's go.
Like
Wow.
every song that they drop is just like a
Nice.
like a heavy like banger.
Yeah.
One of their songs they dropped had like a funk sample in it. Like, dude, this is rad.
Get something unique going. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
check
cool.
them out.
All right, so I got one. So I got tagged in one of those, like, you know, don't put any context, list your top 10 albums. Shout out Davey, thank you for nominating me.
Tag me on that, huh?
I did. Yep, sure did.
Bad
I'm gonna
social media thing.
I'm gonna put I'm gonna do the band is a band called Guttermouth, and I want to do the song Bruce Lee vs. Kiss Army, because I just went through a phase where I was just obsessed with this band. I think part of it was just like, this is definitely the music my parents like warned me against,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that whole album was ridiculous. But I loved it. That song in particular, like, it's funny. I never really like skated. I skated well enough to like film other friends, but I never skated because I was like, I don't want to hurt my hands 'cause I'm in a band.
For sure. Yeah.
But like, I don't know. There's just something that song specifically. I feel like it was such an anthem for like my high school and my friends who did skate,
Yeah.
or we all got into punk at the same time.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it's a
Great band, classic band.
yeah.
OC, man.
Yeah. You guys had all the good stuff out here, man. I was just living my life, wishing I could be here. Yeah. Eventually
you're
got
here.
here. Yeah.
Now you're here.
Dude, yeah. I mean, and we'll get out of here, but I thought about our buddy, Aaron, is Canadian. Lives up in
Yeah.
Canada. And where does he live?
Regina.
Oh.
Is it Regina?
Yeah, Regina. Yeah.
And he was telling us, I want to say like maybe a month ago, he was just like, I hope you guys are enjoying sunny Southern California. It's negative 16 here.
Yeah.
I was like, dude,
That's why I'm here and not there.
It's like, hey, don't try to bring us down with that. Okay, we're trying to enjoy our beautiful weather.
yeah. Keep that to yourself.
Yeah.
Keep that to yourself.
It's a you problem.
Oh man! All right, you want to plug any socials or anything before we get out of here?
Yeah, easy. If you just go to monk.la, you can find all our stuff there. The Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, all that good stuff is there. So yeah, nice and simple.
So do you guys do all the TikTok trends?
No. The TikTok account is the definitely the abandoned one. So try to keep the Insta going because it feels like you get some love back on there. But TikTok's it's a tough nut to crack.
Yeah. I think it's just like hardcore consistency.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's time for that.
Yeah.
Sick. Us, it's at Walking Blind Pod everywhere. WalkingBlindPod@gmail.com.
Nice.
Once again, you guys, questions are still open. Hit us up on there.
Yeah. Follow, like, and subscribe. Also, we have a GoFundMe for our Feels on Wheels, which, if you heard, it's back in the hospital.
Yeah.
So, if you feel
the
spirit moves you to donate, we'd appreciate it.
go into a sensory deprivation tank,
Yeah.
think about it, and get back to us.
Yes.
We love you guys.
And the answer will be yes. Yeah.
Dude,
thank you for coming.
yeah,
man.
thank you, man.
Yeah, no sweat. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys. We love you guys. See you guys soon. Peace.
No way to handle my aggression.